Oh, we are. Okay, good.
Hello and welcome. I am Morgan Hazelwood. This is the Queery Helpline, aka Patrick Hopkins, who has a pretty impressive success rate at getting people requests by tweaking their queries. And we are here because the Supreme Court is a bunch of and we believe in reproductive rights, and we would like to raise money and any donations that you make or that I will up to us until
let's
I feel
let's just get money in and we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the
So,
thing there. Okay. I should have done this before. Well. Okay. So you have a thing, and then we can go with some stuff that I have planned because we had like 3 seconds to plan this.
right.
And there were 3, let's say, harrowing-ish seconds because, like, we live pretty close to DC, and I was going to go to the protest on Friday, except I realized, bad idea. I would have been there with my 9-year-old. Bad idea. Spreader event number 1. Number 2, people get very, very angry about abortion very quickly. I don't want to have to deal with that, number 1. Number 2, a 9-year-old? No. And also the heat was enough that with the people it would just be really bad. I have taken them to DC for a step before, but it was not like this. And if you did you see the live stream of the protest at the Supreme Court? It was packed at about 2. Like you could just there's no space. And so the best thing for me to do is to protest from afar. And so that's part of what this is. And also, the justices were not going to see that. Like the people that are protesting at their homes, which I robustly support, because that is the First Amendment. There's space all around our residences that is public, and you can use that to tell justices exactly what you think. And there was a long and proud history of that happening. Actually, there's a scene in a Christmas movie where the judge is legitimately afraid of people not liking his decision on Santa Claus, and the reason for that, the guy who's played the judge in the movie is in his 70s, and I did research on this. He would have been raised in a judicial tradition in which judges were actually killed because their decisions were that Yep, it's more popular frontier, and more often they would be merely maimed or whatever by some guy with a shotgun. But in the 1940s, a judge who's 70 years old was born in 1870 and would have heard stories about judges being retaliated against for being stupid heads, which is about the kindest thing I can think of. I mean, my kids swear. My daughter sounds like a Marine, so I'm gonna probably say things tonight. Anyway, you were working on a synopsis. You have a query. I will do my thing, and I will not be sorry. I sent you a link to a document many minutes ago. You have that? Okay, good. That has resources and things, including a link to a book that is in the public domain that we're going to look at. People do a lot of first pages stuff, but the thing about getting a full request, if your first page is great and your middle is a dumpster fire, you might not even find out that it is a dumpster fire, and that's the reason. You might just get a not much from a list at this time. So we're going to look at how we're going to compare the first page to any other page of the book. And probably, I pulled up to chapter 7 or something, which I think is deep enough in that you can get an idea for things.
Yep. Give me just a second, and I will get the. Oh, that's your essay. That's a slightly different thing. Oh, okay. Do you want me to just share the whole thing? Do we want to start?
As well. Yeah. Okay. Do what you want. Yeah. You're in charge. I'm just the one here to, tell you to use more verbs.
I'm here to zoom in so people can see it.
There you go. Yeah, that would be helpful.
So, okay. Oh, let me plug in another monitor so I can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm surprised that as a coder, you don't already have one plugged in, honestly.
Oh,
You do? You have a third then?
I have it plugged into my work computer, and I switched because I only need one extra. I should only be looking so much at not work stuff during work hours. Mm-hmm. So I just toggle it back and forth.
if you want, you could plug it in there and then put it wherever you want, and I can just see that there's a thing that I didn't write, and I can do it. I will recognize that it is not me because it will not be a verb every other word.
Right. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm just going to click the Chrome tab over here. Okay.
That's
so. Okay, and I think people can see that.
Yeah, I can, so they can too. Yeah, that's the synopsis we're gonna chop. I grabbed that. I like to use books I already know, because then I don't want to have to, digest an entire book's worth of information in a minute.
Yeah.
So I use the Landlord's Wardrobe a lot, for example, because I know that thing.
Right. So this is going to be a demo, and if anybody wants to DM either of us on Facebook or Twitter, and let us know that you have donated to a reproductive rights organization. I don't care how much, as long as you're supporting, and then
we're
just
not asking for hundreds of dollars. There were agents who were asking for that, and I don't have that money.
No, it can be $1, it can be $5, it can be 100, whatever you are, your budget can actually afford, because we understand that everybody has different circumstances, and that I think a lot of the people who need these rights the most
don't have $100
aren't in the position to give the most money.
No, no. Okay, you're gonna put your query in there, or am I gonna work the synopsis here?
My query's not done yet. I only got through.
All right, that's okay. Yeah. Okay, so am I doing this? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, all right. I know this book pretty well, which means I can sort of cheat. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is actually kind of a lie. This is that's the language I used when I did a query talk with you a month ago, and I pre-gamed for this by writing a whole speech thing I never gave, but it helped me distill my thoughts. And one of the things about this is that the kids don't have a lot of agency in this. So shunt it up is actually what I used in the query I wrote for this book. Entry during the
Okay. For those of you at home who
started out in 1600s. Oh god, that's gonna take.
So
okay,
we start off with 4 children named Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy are shunted off to an old professor's country house during the London Blitz.
Now,
one rainy day.
Typically, 5 people in the first sentence of a synopsis or a query would be absolute death.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. We need them all. We arguably need 7 characters in this. The 4 kids who each have interval roles, and that's the thing about books like this, is if you have 4 characters, you need to have each of them have their own identity. In this, Peter is very deeply like trying to be father, right? Susan is trying to be the mother. Edmund is the annoying teenager who's rebelling, and Lucy just wants to be a thing, honestly.
Do we need to introduce all 4 of them in the first sentence? Can it just be Lucy and her 3 big siblings are shunted off, and then introduce them one by one?
Because we need them all eventually, because they, especially Edmund. He's the one I hate him, but he's written to be loathsome, and it works. But we do eventually need all 5 of them, these 5 people, and then we need the White Witch at least, and Tumnus and Aslan. That's 8.
Yeah.
In almost any other situation, I would say we need to cut, but you can't. It just, I mean, I know this book like really well, and you cannot do it with 3.
The beavers, but they don't need names.
They can exist, but we don't need to say Mrs. Beaver. We don't need to get into that too much. Okay. So we don't need the rain at all. And in the movie, the BBC version of this, which I rewatched, it's a lovely thing. I rewatched this came out when I was like 7 or whatever. I watched this a month ago or so with my kids because it's just, how much of mind fuck is that? When I have kids, I can watch this stuff with, right? And in the movie, when they get to the house, it's sunny. Okay, we don't need unless the rain is a big thing. Okay, we don't need it. So let's toss that, and then this is all process language, process nothing. All right, because I know this book, and we don't need this. Okay, Lucy, still process language. Okay, we don't need the size of the thing. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay, we don't need the process there. Crawls past. I will be back in a minute. I have my kids. I cannot avoid this. The wife will be angry, and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and read aloud for those of you who might not be staring at the screen. 4 children named Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy are shunted off to an old professor's country house during the London Blitz. Lucy gets in a wardrobe, crawls past the long fur coats, and finds herself standing in the middle of a forest. It is night and snow is falling, though in London it is summer. She walks toward an iron lamppost and, thinking it is strange to come to a lamppost in the middle of the woods, is met by a very surprised fawn. Not sure how much of that we need. We don't need to know what she's thinking. We're talking about what's happening in motivation. This fawn, confirming that Lucy is a human girl or quote unquote daughter of Eve, I don't know if we need that, invites her for tea, snacks, stories, and music in his cozy little cave. She trusts the fawn and follows him, staying with him for what seems like many hours. Suddenly, she exclaims she must be getting back, and the fawn, Mr. Tumnus, begins to cry.
Right. I hope they're all down now. I'm going to mute my phone now. I had to be. Okay, so. Country house. Okay. Cold fast. And finds herself in. Okay, so for the movie version of this, okay, she found herself seeing a forest. All she did was walk onto snow. Okay. We don't need.
Could we just say and finds herself? Yeah, in this. Yep. There we go.
Close that. That's better because we do need some hint that it's not, winter there.
Sure.
Okay. For the lamppost. Meets. What I'm typing might be process language, but I'm trying to get past all this stuff, which, while important to the plot, isn't essential.
No.
And I've read this a couple of times, so I have some idea. If I were doing this on the fly, I would be mentally filing away all these one-off details. Be like, do I need this? Do I need this? Do I need this? Which is part of why synopses destroy me, because 1,600 words that I have never seen before. Okay. Right. Do I need the fact that this is in Seattle? Control F Seattle. Because you've seen me Control F names.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, okay, person, how many times does this person appear? 3. Toss them, completely go away. Okay, let's see here. Falls asleep. Please. Okay, right here. This is hiding a verb. Morgan, what verb is it hiding?
He serves.
Yep. There you go. You go 5 words down to 1, right? You save, not only do you save words, okay, you make your meaning more clear, which is you're going to synopsis. And this is hard because you're so close to the book that you're like, every detail matters. No, it doesn't, okay? And even if your book is that semantically soft and you've done it well, because you can, there are ways you can do this where you use lots and lots of prepositions and do it well, okay? Your synopsis doesn't have to sound like your book, though. And if you try to do that, you'll break things because you'll have so many more words than you need.
Yes.
Cursed Anya to always winter and never Christmas. I have heard that phrase so many times, but I can't type it. Yeah, I don't need that, don't need that, don't need that.
Why not, instead of turning Lucy in, he Tracy White witch and quietly and leads her back to the lamppost. There's only one sister.
Yeah. I grabbed this from I needed a synopsis when I knew the book, and it was long enough because cutting from 900 is whatever. This is 1600. This will take a bit, but that's the point of showing people how. Okay, we don't need this. The subplot, the time that has passed is a part of the subplot. It's not essential.
Okay.
Because the point, I mean, the point is the magical, thingy, right? That's the disbelief part. The time passage is a way to show, okay, a difference between the world. No.
So we did have a query come in if we wanted to work on that.
Let's do that. Put it in.
Okay.
We had one come in my group, one come in your group today, but I wasn't trying to be that guy to be like, hey, if you give me money, I'll work this in something. So do we have is the person here or not?
I'm waiting to see if they made it in yet.
Right.
So
okay. If they want to come up here with us, that'd be fine with me too. So they can answer questions faster than typing would work.
Okay.
I don't want to
I'll
have
see if
chat,
they can
and you don't
pop
have
in.
chat either. Let me check one thing here. 3 notifications.
Let me stop sharing real quick so I can edit out some biographical information.
Yep, we don't need that. I mean, I would usually the bio will need to be chopped in roughly half, but that's something I can do privately.
Yeah.
Because people have things that we don't need to know, which is a theme for tonight, in fact. Something I realized as I was working on stuff for this is the pathology of the pregnancy shouldn't matter, basically.
Right.
Like implantation sites don't change based on how you got there. It's just a thing that happens. Like if you had a head injury, how you got that would be relevant to the to the treatment. But like pregnancy just exists. So why are we asking how it got there? Is my question that I can't find an answer to, unless I ask people that are not happening. Let's put that over there. While you do that, I'm gonna get some fruit sugar because
okay. Biographical data is edited. Let's see if they can pop in or not.
Okay, that's. I turn suggestion mode on for myself because that can die.
Where'd my tab go? I lost my tabs.
Control T or Control Shift T. Which was it? The last
I
one.
just have too many screens open.
Okay, there's that too. Yeah.
Okay, so they're on Twitch, so I can see their comments if they make them, but I'm going to toss them the link in case they want to pop
Okay.
in.
Right.
So I do have a confession. It's my dad.
I
So
don't care if it's
I know. Do your worst.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you saw what I did already.
Right.
I would like to no. I have deleted so many times.
Yeah.
What's the word? Do you know the age range for this? Because it doesn't say. Is this adult?
It's adult, yeah.
Don't need that.
There we go.
Okay, so this is 2077.
Sure, that sounds about right.
Okay, we need a name here because otherwise this looks like a less important person to me.
Next sentence says he strips both their names, and so we never know the original name.
I see. Okay, that's all right. That makes sense then. The reasons to not start with a name are usually very bad, but that makes sense here. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they both from Niger?
Yes.
Okay. 2.
Two young Niger women.
That loses the sister thing. So I'm trying to think of how to do it without just being very awkward.
Two Niger.
I don't what I don't want to do is the person from this place because that breaks it up and it's awkward.
Two Nigerian sisters.
That's two Niger sisters. Nigeria is a country.
Okay.
Sisters from Niger. That's already lacking agency.
I think the story is about them getting their agency back.
Okay, that's good. Should this be Françoise or should this be Francio's?
I don't know.
I'm going to do that, and I'm going to put a note because this is.
Because that C with the little.
Yes, I was used. My grandmother was born in France.
Mm-hmm.
I was weakly bilingual for a while. I could still pull off the accent sometimes, but not on stream. It would be bad. And so Françoise is a very common French name. Francio's is a very common misspelling.
Yeah.
So that's why but that person's world may have that thing going, just like in the Hunger Games, PETA, right? You're thinking Peter, no, because to show how you the separation.
Right.
This is world building. This thing is way too short, by the way. It's missing 40 words probably. Let's see if I can still earn the thing. At 164 and all that markup, we need at least 40 more words for world building because things just has them modified. Like that's the system. Vague. Okay. Here we are. This is interesting. I'm saying like plot wise, this is interesting because become is like okay, and what are they doing? And then the positive thing is vague. But now we have them actually doing something, whether they want to or not is a lesser concern. So I would try to. I'm not sure how much world building we need to this right now because this part right here, if he is modifying them so they can fight, right, I want to put the modifications and then right after that have them fighting.
Sure.
But I don't know how to get. See, I don't know yet how important the organization part is or the machine part is. But put this. I'd also like to know how that what do they get, like lasers or extra feet or whatever.
Right? Everybody keeps talking about genetic modifications, and I have yet to be able to shoot lasers out of my eyes.
I mean, I have a connective tissue disorder that gives me a superpower. In fact, I can stretch. It's not very far. Let's see if I can show you this even. I can't. That's not going to work. Okay. This is apparently uncommon. Can I even see that? No, you can't see that, can you? This is uncommon. There's my wrist right there. That's uncommon. I stretch. It's painful because it also means that my joints don't work well. And I have the mild version. That's not the same. No, I'm doing it backward. You're doing this, right?
Sorry.
Yeah. This is You can't. See if I can show you my neck.
Ehlers-Danlos, EDS.
Yes. I have a mild version. The version that doesn't kill you. Hooray! See that?
Yep.
It's skin.
Yep.
That's not normal. I learned that when I was 37.
Hypermobility. I have an appointment with my chiropractor
Mm-hmm.
in 2 days. Hopefully,
Okay,
my neck will straighten itself out.
We don't know who's rising anything. We need to leave with the noun here. We need to. We didn't know she had one.
Well, neither did she. That's why she found it.
Yeah, but this is an interesting. It's the trouble is that when you're world building, like you have to get everything in, and getting it in, all of it in this, which is why you need more words, right?
Right.
Because we've got her. Well, we only find out that she didn't have a conscience after she's fighting in this, trillionaire war thing, which means we need to be building more world before this. We don't know.
What sort of horrific acts has she done on his behalf?
I still don't know if she has extra feet. So this is vague, and we didn't know. The person who stole her life is Tolliver.
Yeah.
So she revenge on him. Oh, you know this. Okay, that's good. All right. The revenge is one of those words you don't want to use because then we don't know what's happening. And that's another building your world thing. Because is she, dangling him in front of a pool of, piranhas? Like that tells us what is that tells us, is her conscience doing whatever, thing, right?
Oh, I forgot to add it back to the stream. I'm sorry.
There you go. Okay. I can do control. Well, that won't actually help much. Do you want me to do Control Z to show them everything I did or not?
I think they can follow.
Okay, cool. So she, like, suicide bombs or something? I mean, at the cost of her own life comes really late in the sentence.
No, that's a very good question.
So. No. Okay. So let's just say, for the sake of completeness,
that you hate gerund phrases because you're a monster.
This is subordinate to the main concern, all right? And I'm like, here's the thing, okay? We just have her killing herself, right? Picking up her sister's affairs. How flat can that read? Then she finds a shoe. We need some. If we don't have intensity here, one of two things is happening, and they are both bad. Either the death doesn't matter, in which case I no longer care about it, or the writer is bad at communicating that does matter, in which case, in either case, okay, we need, what the, hold on, this is, something is bad to happen, okay, text manager, okay, there we go. I just three-fingered saluted accidentally. I meant to do Control-Shift-M, and I instead did Control-Delete, which, slight
Okay.
difference. Yeah, what's up?
So, seeing the next paragraph, I feel like maybe Francoise found evidence, and now Emily, it's up to Emily to report it, because it looks like they're not dead. Because otherwise, there's no reason to bring evidence to Scotland Yard.
What? Scotland Yard? Huh? Why would
I mean,
that?
it's only been 50 years.
Building your world. We had no sense that he was or wasn't anywhere near England, right? This setting, the only thing we know.
Maybe it's British trillionaire Tolliver.
That's mildly better, but I mean, suddenly we're in England, is all I know, right? We have this sort of big fight with hundreds of whatever things, right?
Right.
I didn't know we were in England. So maybe there, that would be, and at first, okay, I'm okay with British, that's fine. No, at first, I'm not seeing where the England matters at all to this. And for us to wait until Scotland Yard to get England is still a little iffy to me. Why are they, whatever, that, I don't need to know that, actually. I don't need to know, it's French? Okay, that's...
Why Scotland Yard, then?
See, I don't understand. The world building here is incomplete, and that's why I'm having trouble placing all this stuff, because we have this surprise England. Okay, does that inform the story? Because every other part of this, right? I don't see how the geographic, the location of this story informs anything, right?
Yeah.
Now, whether that's fine or not, I can't tell because I don't know the book. There are ways you can do it either way. It's of no necessary value to me, except I need to know. Which why we should have the writer here, because if they're fighting on, like, in cages over the Thames, right? That interests me, right? If they're fighting on cobblestone roads, those are everywhere on their own. I don't care about that, right?
Right.
But we need to understand. Because if it could be anywhere, then Scotland Yard becomes less interesting to me. Because I mean, Scotland is fun as a historical setting, but that's pre this. That's 19th century. That would be interesting. But like today, honestly, Scotland Yard, okay, cool. I that's like saying Mossad or whatever. Like, okay, we've established we have detectives, right? We don't know how it informs the books. That's I don't know what to do with that exactly.
I don't know.
And then the UN, good grief. Okay, here's the problem with this, right here. Okay, we have had these sisters, like we've been focused on the sisters, getting them modified keeps our focus on the sisters, right? If we're taking these things to Scotland Yard, that takes us outside of the setting, and the UN takes us way out. Okay, we're zooming way out. We are no longer focused on these characters, right? And that becomes very hard to pull off. For one, because why is anyone in Scotland Yard or the UN listen to two random sisters from night?
Oh, hey, the next sentence indicates that instead of having different places like Scotland Yard and UN, they create a Terran Confederation to deal with worldwide crimes rather than piecemeal.
That kills the focus. Like, we're zooming out once and then twice and then zooming in on other people. We have the focus is just completely comatose. We need to keep the focus on the characters. We've spent a paragraph and a half, right? They've
Right.
been modified. They've been put in this fighting scheme, and now we have the UN involved. That, I mean, we're not focused on them. And okay, explain to me again how the did she die?
She died. Yes.
Okay.
Francoise is dead.
Okay, so okay, that's all right. That's still.
Please answer our questions in chat. Thank you.
What's up? Is everybody okay?
Oh, they lost sound.
Okay, all right.
So they can't hear. So
they could probably call you and get sound.
Yeah.
That would. I'm not officially recommending that because that's your thing and not mine. And this is all about autonomy tonight. But in this situation, this is just vague. Okay, this is. We don't need to still.
I think there may be an issue in the understanding we're live, so we need answers
then.
now.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I'm not. I don't need to say anything because I can imagine the things you're not saying. There's an expression, pebcac.
I've sent 3 questions and gotten 1 reply.
Okay.
So. Okay, they refreshed the link. Okay, things I need you to answer. 1, where is the story set? 2, precisely how Francois takes revenge. 3, why Scotland Yard? Are you talking about the various different places they have to go to try and get justice because of jurisdictional fights or what? And yeah, so start there and then we'll have some more questions. Typing, very exciting.
Bio is I'm doing this just for the sake of doing it, but the bio is pointless with this, without this. I mean, this to me. Number one, I have questions about the focus in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the book, so I don't know if this is just like the writer not being able to focus properly on the plot. If this is accurate to the book, there are serious developmental issues here. I say that not to be mean, but because like polishing this is pointless. Because this writer needs to have the characters central to the story, as opposed to. This reminds me of the problem with the newer Star Wars movies. Well, newer, I should say, the ones that debuted about 20 years ago, because they got away from the characters and started going, this political confederation stuff that nobody cared about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing anybody could find that was entertaining was Jar Jar Binks sounding like an idiot. I don't need to see them going to the UN, right? I need to see them, caring about their lives, right? Fighting this thing, banding together people, but when you band together, stay focused on them, right? Not the creation of this confederation. Because once you do that, like, I don't see them having any power in there because you can still read that they have any. So they lose importance to me. And for you to build that importance from the beginning line and drop it is fatal, essentially.
Okay. So we have a couple answers. We start
Okay.
in North Africa. We move to France. Emily is sent to boarding school outside of London. Francoise moves around the world, sent by Tolliver.
All right. How long is she at boarding school? I just need to get a sense of how the book moves, because there's nothing in this query to suggest boarding school. Now that might be fine if she isn't there for long, which I can. It's how the book is. But we have moving from Niger to boarding school to a battlefield, and how she gets there is not clear from the query. Let's see. And again, we need a solid 40 more words of world building, and that's not even including the stuff where there's just the vagueness, because hold on a second. Do you have a synopsis for this by chance?
I do not.
Okay, that's fine. This to me is 2 core drafts away. And if this were a client, I would require the synopsis, because people don't know what they haven't included in a query, which I know from having written them before, a ton of them. And the synopsis will tell me things they don't realize they haven't included, and then that way I'm not trying to ask questions to find what direction I have to go in, because I'm on that 16-lane highway we talked about, and I'm not sure which of 4 lanes I'm in, which means death. Let's see here. Ask the writer on what page of the first chapter they get caught up by this trillionaire.
I think it's the opening chapter.
Okay.
Okay, so by takes revenge, they Tulliver has gotten her to steal one of the very first starships, and he wants to use it for his own devices, and instead she blows it up to keep it from him and the other trillionaires.
All right, so we go from Niger to France to boarding school to a starship.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yep.
You can do it. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because so your first page has to, generally speaking, has to establish the setting, right? If you keep changing settings, the only way you can do that, right, is you laser focus on the characters. Okay.
Right.
You can do it well, right? The Da Vinci Code, they spent the entire movie going places, right? It manages because it's all focused on those 2 characters, right?
Yeah.
So let's assume for now the book does it well, because I haven't read it. I'm not interested in doing that, because this book just doesn't interest me. Most books don't, but you're not surprised. But this UN, like, even let's say that I were interested up into as of the first paragraph in this stuff, because there are ways to make this interesting, by being clear for one. To have it zoom out like it does with Scotland Yard and the UN and the Terran Confederation, and the worldwide crimes, like, it just, you keep on going out now, and I cannot see Amelie anymore. So I need to see her like doing more, and being more rooted to the problem, because I cannot imagine if you are plucked from Niger, right, and you have this person. Is there any reason the UN would listen to you?
Okay, so I got a little more.
Okay.
So the revolts that I don't even think have been mentioned are against the Confederation, and that's the only actual battlefields. The rest is political and business battlefields. Tolliver's companies have been building the starship, and they're moved almost immediately to France. Francoise is mostly in France, while Amelie is mostly near London for the first third of the book.
Okay. All right, that's okay. Does this cover the first third, or does this cover 2/3?
Tulliver and quote unquote friends take over the starship. It's not stolen.
Okay. So if they spend most of their time in in different countries for the first third of the book, and we have them fighting the pawns of the trillionaires, and there's no sense that they're apart in that first paragraph. Either we have a core difference between the query and the story, or we're already into the second third of the book at this first paragraph.
It sounds like Francoise is being used by the organization, and Emily is just kind of off at school.
Okay. All right.
But
Okay. If that's the case, then that needs to be clear in the query because it isn't. And that,
yeah,
like, if we're gonna have them together in the beginning
right.
and they're separated, and that's a key part of the plot, then
Yeah.
That's something for Morgan to write in there because Morgan's the human isn't able to. Which does this person want access to this thing or not?
Yes.
Good. I'm okay with him having access. I'm sure. I can. That's all 2, 3, 4. I think. Hold on. No. I'll do 2, 3, 1. In case you need it again. I can also set up an autocorrect for it, but honestly, I wouldn't even use that character because it will not translate in all systems. And also, most people are going to read that name without the Sadia and read it as Francoise, not Francoise.
I believe so. There is some multiple spellings.
Yeah, but just okay, that's still not even see. Okay, this is where the synopsis would help a lot.
Okay, so we start off with a 12-year-old Emily and Francoise
12. Okay.
Claiming to be 20, but she's only 17.
Okay, so they're actually 17 and 12 in the beginning.
Yeah.
By the end, how old are they? Do you know?
Nope. Not
Okay.
a clue.
So we start off with them being YA. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I don't see evidence in here that they age significantly. So for this to be adult, like you can have younger people be adult. It just matters how you work the story. But I would be concerned about the age range there. If it's in 2 parts, let's say, and they start off as that 17 and 12 at the end at 40 or whatever, that's when they include in the query because it won't necessarily be apparent from the opening from the sample pages. And what will happen, as you know, is the agent will say, okay, this is 17 and 12. I don't see a reason for this to be adult. So this looks like it's misfiled. And then they get rejected based on that.
Yeah.
I had work queries where we had to say, it's told in, told in 2 parts, one in this, in this timeline, one in this other, timeline or ages or whatever. So you just, want to make the agent aware of that because if it's not clear, they don't know. Just like a bunch of stuff here, if the plot was not clear. Okay. We are not going to get. This is not going to be fixed tonight. It's just.
Okay, Francoise doesn't die for about 20 years.
Francoise does not die when she, at the cost of her own life, isn't her dying. Then.
Oh no, she does. It's been 20 years.
So by that,
by 20 years.
Okay, all right, I see. That's good to know. We need to show that somehow. Like how if there's some sort of training montage thing that happens, I don't know, but I mean, I can see that happening. Whatever, you wouldn't want to throw a random person into a battlefield, right? Well, unless you want them to get slaughtered. But whatever happens, that needs to be clear in the query because that's a huge thing. That's okay. Yeah, that's. I mean, that's placeholder there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we need there is to know what happens during that time, because okay, there are 2 options here. Number 1, the first option, which is very bad, is Tolliver just puts her somewhere for a while and does nothing with her. That's boring. Okay, and it suggests a lack of motivation, which doesn't interest me. The second option is that she's being sent to some assassin school or something, right, to prepare her for whatever thing's going to happen next. So I want to know that, right?
Right.
And then Rising High is still vague. And again, what happens, I'm less interested in. That we just need specifics so that we can, and the volume of specifics we'll get here is more than we need. As I think I've told you this. For any one query, I will generally take something that's 200 words and blow it up to 350 because the world building is so terrible initially, and then from there we cut and cut and cut, right, to 180 to 220 depending. But what you end up with is something where something is happening in every single word. Whereas with this, it's just so vague, which is understandable because, as we've said, the last person in the world you want to write your query is yourself. It is guaranteed. I tried writing mine for the Brianna Treasure Hunt book, and I avoided first chapter bias by falling victim to second chapter bias. I had Sam doing everything, which was somehow worse. Okay. So okay. Have you read this book or not?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right. So you don't know how the. Okay. I cannot suggest comps. You're gonna want to talk to a librarian for that. My suggestion is, I happen to know that you are in my county, and our library system has this nifty feature where you can, without putting on pants, talk to a librarian. And I would suggest that this writer put together a 20-word pitch, right, and ask for books that are similar to this. I cannot imagine. This feels vaguely like some things, but I mean, saying it seems sort of like the Hunger Games is kind of cheating because I mean, it's a person is chosen to fight in a system that describes all of dystopia, right? I mean,
Right.
that's, you know, you could easily say Divergent, which is to say, hi, I don't read this genre, because I don't.
Yeah.
But there are librarians who.
Right. I think the author is saying that Emily goes on to be one of the founders of the Terran Confederation to deal with the crimes.
Okay.
Is that true?
I'm so happy you're driving right now because I have no idea where we are still.
I know. Science fiction is not your jam.
Well, it's not that. It's that you know what I like. There are two things I like. I like verbs and I like specifics because the specifics I can delete because you don't always need it. And in finding out exactly what happens, I know, okay, we need this, we don't need this, right? Because when we find out what's genetically modified about them, I might decide, okay, that's not essential, right? But I can then construct a narrative that emphasizes stuff that is and plays down the stuff that isn't, okay? Because when I see this language right here, that interests me because I don't know what's going on, right? And that could be anything, right? And this, like, I want it to interest you, but I don't know what's going on. So the specific thing is going to help me. This is okay. This we you can do this. It's a risk, and I would. Okay, I'm just going to highlight this entire first paragraph. Okay. The first thing that anyone actually does, okay, is these two girls, right? These are main characters. That's the first thing anyone actually does. In the book, right, you can't do that. They have to be trying to do something, right? They can't just be people sitting there doing nothing. And I would bet, I don't have data on this, but I would bet that agents are going to be less interested in passive characters. In fantasy, you can do it because the world is a character. I've seen it a number of times. I'm pretty sure it's less common in science fiction. So I would be looking for ways to introduce agency for Francoise and Amélie, starting for here. Because we need to know who they are before that, okay? The reason I say that is our cut up by, right? We know nothing about these characters. How do they react to that? Because I'm not reading this for Tolliver. I'm not hate reading it for Tolliver. I'm reading it for Françoise and Amélie. And so I need to know if they're going to be fighting back or not. Because it looks like they just take what's given to them, and that's not interesting. What's up? You okay? You covering your mouth? You good?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
So
this has a lot of moving parts to fix.
Right.
It's like a very, very old car in the dark. And the original mechanic is available every other Tuesday.
Right.
Which is a challenge.
So one thing I do know is that this is a prequel to a book that I have read a lot more of, and this is the founding of the Terran Confederation story.
Okay. I don't need the jurisdictional nightmare. No, this is okay. No. This right here. No.
Wait. Stop.
Okay, I'm not deleting it. I'm highlighting it so you can see what I'm saying. Because otherwise, I'm saying I don't like this thing, and you don't know what I'm talking about. So it might be a noun that I don't like because.
So what I'm trying to do here is demonstrate that when you bring the evidence, where do you bring it to? Because he's committed crimes in so many places, and that's why it leads to the Terran Confederation. And so.
Okay. Again, that's decentering. That's getting us away from, Emily.
Emily's trying to figure out who to bring it to get him convicted.
Okay, then that honestly, I'm going to use a phrase you're familiar with. You ready for it? Process language. Let's see here. This is just not. I know this is. It can't be said like that. I'm just saying that phrasing is dissimilar from the rest of it. You can't do that. It sticks out. I can't fix it right now.
It needed to go somewhere, and I needed to put it down so I could find a place to put it later.
Right. I'm not saying you're bad because you've seen me write things and stuff, and you know that I'm saying as I'm saying it. This is process language just to get this out, right? It's just placeholder. I'm just, because but that's secondary to the fact that this is still a medical waste fire, which I say with all possible love, but we have so much to fix here because this is just like the exposition and the focus was wrong. Thanks. The evidence is.
Okay, there we go. So she is a spy.
What? Where the spy? Okay, Françoise. Okay.
Right. Instead of a part, she is a spy in his organization.
This is more process. This is just placeholder. Because I could be wrong about this, but the idea is that we're linking her right to.
I was wrong. Emily, since she's in London, just goes to Scotland Yard, and they bring her to the UN because and a working group
process. This is an example of how you could fix this. Now that is focused on Amelie, right? We have no Scotland Yard, we have no UN. We have her and Tolliver still as a central concept here. Now, this may have no relation to the plot, okay? I don't care about that. I care about the fact that I've shown this writer how to focus on the characters he's established instead of going to Scotland Yard. Okay.
We're getting the. It might have been easier if I sent the plot summary. Yeah,
That's why when I get people who ask me for help, I have them give me their entire submission package. Because it's easier for me to, I have them mark the stake sentence in synopsis, because that way I can tell, because people are very bad. And I say this as person myself, hi, I'm a person. I am very bad at understanding how much detail you need, right? So I give you bad elements of it, right? Everybody is the same way. So if I have the synopsis, I have more stuff, right? I can put in there, right? Right. I either understand what is happening or what isn't. Okay. And then I get little dribs and drabs and figure, okay, this is a story about monkeys. What? I didn't say that's a whole. And now we understand this is a monkey drama, and we can deal with that whole tail thing that was like, what? Huh? Because people don't know what they're not including because they're so close to the book. Every single person is too close to the book. Is the thing. I have worked 1,500 of these, no joke. And I try to do my own, and I'm like, I can't because everyone's terrible at it.
It's infinitely easier to do somebody else's than your own, because when you're doing your own, everything that you put in the story is important, because otherwise you wouldn't have put it in the story, and it's really hard to back out and see what plot points follow the theme that you're trying to focus on.
Something I discovered about a month ago is that you focused. The reason somebody query started out so terribly with so much detail we don't need, you focus on your first chapter more than you focus on the rest of your book, right? Because if your first chapter isn't there, it doesn't matter if you have gold bars in your third, right? It doesn't. You could factually attach Bitcoin to your fifth chapter and it still wouldn't get read, right? Because your first chapter is so huge, but you focus on it so much, that it becomes your entire book world. Okay, I've told this story many times. I'll tell it again. The cherubs that my character drives past and then sees twice more ever. Keep trying to get into my career. It's all I can do to keep them out, because I keep on driving past them because I keep trying to fix that one page. All right. Do you have enough sense of the stakes that we can create the sentence there? Because merely telling this person what the stake sentence is, I have a checklist for that, honey. I don't need that.
Okay. Can you help us fill in the brackets?
She has to survive. What is threatening her? What new thing? Focus the stakes. Is this multi-POV or is this lone POV?
I think it was 2 points of view. I think it was both sisters, but I could be wrong.
So it's lone POV by now, then, because didn't we say that she got killed?
Yeah.
Or did she not?
I think it is third person, but third person close.
It doesn't matter if it's third or first. I just need to know if it's. So this is, if she's the only person. Okay, so we're still in the first third here, right? Because I thought you'd said that we were in the second third with something.
I think we entered the midpoint with the creation of the Terran Federation. That's
okay,
like
we're too far into the book. We can go between the first third and halfway through.
Yeah.
So we need the first. Okay. It gets tricky here. All right. So ideally, we go first third, because there's that question, that decision thing that launches from first third to second third. Okay.
Right.
Sometimes that doesn't exist, and that's okay, because books you can do it without it, right? You can go up to the first. You go up the first half. Sometimes it's more of a necessity thing, like she has to do this or she'll be killed, which is not a decision. But we have to find some compelling thing to end it on. Okay, because we've gotten too far into it. And as a core thing of the business document, which this is you can't go this far. So we need to go up. I want to say we have
Now, I know that
AKA
this is a prequel to a pre-existing book, and I know that the point is to establish the creation of the Terran Confederation, but that doesn't need to be the focus of
No.
the query or the synopsis or the blurb. The focus is really, you know, Emily and her sister and what Tolliver has done.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah,
really what it boils down
The
to.
point of the book is one thing, the query is unrelated, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the query has one job, and it's not to get you to want to read this book. It's to get you want to read one word past what you've sent. That's it. Anything else is extraneous at best, and frankly, you shouldn't even focus on it. So we need the decision point here.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know. I don't think you have that information, do you?
I do not, but there is
Okay.
typing.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I've been clarified that the existing book is not a sequel. He's just jumping around in the universe and
Whatever.
the timeline.
I don't care. I mean,
Yeah. So what we need to know is what bad things has Tolliver done, and what is Emily risking by going to the cops?
okay, so that's the
Yeah.
no. The cops is too far. Isn't that more than 2/3? Didn't we say that decades is where we get into the second third of the book?
No.
Okay.
Second third is this right here. The creation
Okay,
of the
so we can just
third.
toss that.
Yeah.
Please delete that.
I think the sister, I believe the sister dies kind of at the end of the first third.
Okay, so this is around where we. Okay, can we make the stake sentence for deciding whether to blow this thing up or not? Because that, to me, if you're establishing these two characters, you'd have to now. If we do that, we have to. This has to become 4 times the size. Okay, because this right here is 100. Okay, 2 times the size. We have to basically double this. What I would suggest doing is give at least this part right here 1 sentence at least, and then again we have to develop. We have to know who they are, because they're not just people who are caught. They have personalities.
Yeah.
And even if they are caught up in that first chapter, they're doing things before that. Because right now we don't know. This is like if my 2 main characters, Brianna and Sam. Brianna will try to cut her way through the rope, whereas Sam will probably forget a little bit first. Right? That's to give an example of the characterization here. Are you going into the first half there? What's this thing here? Okay. Checking one thing here. Okay. People. Okay. Okay. All right. That feels like we're getting farther than the first half. Are we or not? I don't know. You know the book better than I do. Well, yeah, I mean, you know the book at all. So, I've been burned so many times on hammering home language that's into the second third or the final act, and it's like, nope. It was there either. Whatever. We can look at it later. Whatever.
Maybe.
I'm just again trying to stay within the first half.
Yeah.
Because we had the blowing up the starship at the end of the first third, right? How far? The end of that paragraph.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
So it gets a little convoluted. Emily suspected the diseases. Her sister finds the documentation and other stuff, and that's when she finds her conscious.
Okay. How that last sentence of that second paragraph? How far into the book is that? Do you know?
Not a clue.
Okay, cool. S- really. So one thing we would need to do, we need to establish the starships way before that sentence there, as a basic world building thing, because we can't care about something we didn't know existed. But we have condensed so much of the first third that there's building here that we haven't done because we don't know it, because we don't have the synopsis. And again, the writer's so close to say that he can't tell what he hasn't done, which is, as we said, deeply common.
That I can't spell. Okay.
Whatever. I mean, the fact is the thing. I mean, I can delete a U easy enough. This is okay. So I would start with who the sisters are, and then have them get cut up, then strip them, blah blah. Specifically by the modified. I would give a synonym of star there, because you have a starship.
Okay.
Master spy, something that master is a bad word too. Elite and elite spy. Does that work? And
yep.
I don't. I'm more interested in what it does than the, like, what does misreading the word mean? Okay, because the elite spy, that interests me. But what does the organization do?
Machine.
Okay.
And
okay.
Goods, services, something.
So he's gaming the market to make more trillions of dollars.
Oh, not an elite spy, a valued assistant.
No.
Sorry.
Whatever. Having the facts helps us. Still, okay. This is okay. That's okay. Did we lose the trillionaires? The pawns thing there? Emily being only in boarding school does interest me.
True.
Does she do anything? That's the trouble. Is okay for her to be pickup after her sister. We have to follow her plot line. We need her to do something more interesting than just going to school. Yeah. She has to have side quests or whatever. And those need to lead to something that intersects meaningfully with the plot. It doesn't matter what, honestly. Like, you could have her be the president of the home ec club. I don't care. Okay, because how does that then inform her taking up after her sister blows herself up, right? And in fact, a home ec student having to take down this trillionaire would interest me. Okay, but we need to see her doing stuff at that school, not just she attends class. That's Put a period after trillionaires at some point, because we need a new sentence for Emily, because that's just, I mean, that's a load bearing sentence already. Okay, that's placeholder, but that's tolerable at least. What is it? Is that a genetic engineer?
I believe so.
Okay, please put that then. Because I don't, I mean, you can, inventing a term is dicey. There you go. Yeah, that's a deal.
Okay, yeah, we follow Francois until she's dead, and then we follow Emily, and then we follow Emily's kid.
Okay, I don't.
Which we didn't even get into, so yay! We're not hitting that last third.
Good. Okay, so we have after decades, for two sisters to be snatched up and separated and not try to contact each other isn't interesting.
Oh, I think they've been in touch.
Okay, then that's we need something other than, I don't, maybe it was placeholder language there with the context thing, but that's,
yeah, I think I was just showing time passing.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So you know, okay. Okay, that's fine. That I understand that then. Okay. This is
okay.
Okay. Still lack. All right, so we're going with
whoops. I misspelled the made-up word.
Okay. We still need to have her not having a conscience before. We can't ever fancy she didn't lose. But that's, getting to that concern is absolutely good, because it means we have bigger ones taken care of, like the whole world building, everything. Okay, let's see here. So are we having the stake sentence there? The only solution is that sentence down in the second paragraph? Is that so? Is that where we are?
I think so.
Okay, let's just need to know. All right, that's fine. We need the conscience. Okay, so this is okay. So for the conscience thing to matter, okay, for it to hit with the proper weight, we need to see it earlier. So that usually what you do is have a plot point that is essential to the main plot. Establish that she has no conscience. Okay.
Well, I mean, she's been helping manipulate markets and financially control.
Then show her not caring. We need to have her be language in there that,
Okay, instead of valued, we need something that is egoer.
What?
More ego.
Okay.
Egoer.
Okay. His essential.
I don't think she's that essential. I think she's just proud of what she does.
Okay. Oh, well then delights in blah blah blah, or relishes whatever thing, the one of those reaction verbs, or like have her kill some babies and not care, something. I mean, there are ways to do this, right?
Francois relishes becoming a valued assistant in his organization, a machine manipulating markets and financially controlling nations in a deadly game with other trillionaires. That's my assumption. Tell me if I'm wrong. Emily is ripped from her sister and comes of age in a London boarding school before being trained as a genetic.
And then just, there you go. You know how to control it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I could just switch to strictly editing instead of suggesting.
No, I mean, hold on. I'll show you. Okay, you see this? What I'm doing right there? See, I'm highlighting the entire word, and then that, like that. You know how to do that too?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It saves gallons of time. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. So, okay. So Francois
um,
relatives becoming a Emily when
this was all
Francois
this.
learns
Okay,
her sister.
we need to see the starships before here. Um, I would recommend putting them with the financially controlled nation sentence because it's part of the world building.
How about that?
Is that okay? The starship is. Hold on, let me look at that other aspect of this. I'm losing my ability to talk clearly, by the way.
Right.
You could tell probably. I'm thinking paragraphs, and I can't do paragraphs at once.
Yeah.
That's what the start of it. That's
Complicit.
whatever. I mean, I just need something, you know.
Mhm.
I need the starship because right now it's an unmoored plot point, and that diffuses tension. We have right now, but we're focused on Emily's schooling, where we got Francois being his assistant, doing very bad things, which by itself is okay, right? It's how you do it, right? We have Tolliver killing people, and we have a starship, and that's not organic to the plot, right? So we
Yeah.
need the
The
starship to be
starship, yeah, is more setting than plot
okay. We can't have it be that foreign.
in
We need
this
it to be.
case.
We need it to be organic to the story, right? Which means
Yeah.
we need to introduce the concept of it being a thing earlier, right? Where I would recommend doing it is up here in
Yeah.
this, right?
Okay.
But I don't know how to, and you're the one with that, nifty
Okay.
thingy that. Yes.
Francois. Controlling nations. Maybe?
It's better. Not there yet, but better.
Does that work for our writer?
What?
Is he part of a, deadly space race with the other
Oh,
trillionaires?
I see. So when she blows up the starships, have they just started making them?
All I know is it's one of the first.
That doesn't tell me enough. Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
Because
Is it
I don't
Tolliver's
know.
only?
I don't know how long. Okay, is this a precious relic that they're using for something, or is this
No.
they have a prototype and she blows one up? Because that
Starship
informs what's up.
prototypes, I think.
Okay, so they have just gotten this. Okay,
I believe.
we need language to establish that they have just gotten these. It can be in there, but it's a lot awkward if it's there. We need to say it that they just got them, and then we need to have her find her conscience and blow it up. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay.
And I think what
What's
we
up?
actually have here is damaging Tolliver's standing in the trillionaire game. I think that's all it is. It could be
Right.
critically damaging, but I think all at this point it's doing is, oh, your pet project just blew up,
If it's okay, that de-escalates the tension though.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, that's
Okay. So first,
Emily. Okay, Emily, need emotion here.
Prototypes capable of carrying humans. No, we don't need to know that.
No,
it's one of the
not
first
at all.
capable of carrying humans, but that's fine.
It doesn't. I mean, no, that's not a thing. Okay. Those two. Evidence that's not. Hold on.
Oh, I don't understand this phrase. Tolliver was going to have the engineer use the drive to play tic-tac-toe with New York City.
No. Process language. Don't need that at all. Tic-tac-toe takes us way away from the focus of this thing.
I'm just like, does that mean he was going to shoot up, use it to like terrorize New York City with like bombs and stuff?
As a concept, not specifics.
Okay.
Because if they have, I don't need to know if it has games on it. That doesn't help us.
Wait.
We need to be scary, not fun, basically.
Saving thousands of lives and.
Okay, that interests me. What was? I need to know this. Okay, so the prototype is main plot. Saving thousands of lives is slightly lower than that. How they're going to get destroyed is getting into subplot. Do I need to know?
Yeah, lasers, but still.
No, that's process language.
Yeah.
Because what? No, I think we're okay. I like to know things that I don't need to know, but no, this is already a lot. That's number 2. Evidence. Seek. Intelligence.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
I assume her grief is overwhelmed with guilt because if she hadn't told her sister her suspicions, her sister would have never done that.
Give it to me.
So I think it's just Emily's grief is riddled with guilt. Is that an emotion?
Put it in the thing and
okay.
the stuff. Yes. That's the.
Okay, so what was Emily going to do before that?
We need to see her in her world and then deciding to, embark on this quest thing. That's why it was so important to have her be in that school and then the engineer stuff.
Her safe lab?
Okay.
Maybe, I think.
It's functional. I mean, we need to know what happened before we can make it pretty, right? Okay. Let me pop down here for a second.
Sure, yeah. Do it.
This thing right here. Doing bad things to Tolliver is okay. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
But so far, this is only she needs to do these good things, right? There's no
Right.
sense of danger. So
Yeah.
is there a way in which the Terran Confederation joining that would be bad for her, or some? We need a conflict
It
here that
doesn't
isn't
exist. It doesn't exist yet.
okay.
The the
So
the scope of the crimes leads the
right,
UN or whatever to
right, right.
decide it
Okay,
needs to be
where
safe.
is the danger for her in any part of the sentence?
Yeah.
Because right now it's just she's right now this is a Care Bears episode. There is
Mhm.
no sense of emotional conflict. Um,
I mean, there's Tulliver's assassins.
we already had this.
They're gone. They got edited out.
Oh, that's editing assassins out. That's risky.
I know, right?
That's you're playing with something there. Um, but in a stake sentence that is a decision,
Yeah.
there needs to be a ramification. Uh, for example, um, she could hide in that lab and live, or she could um, leave it permanently and join this unprotected group of people
Yeah.
who could be slaughtered by those same diseases that she's been helping to create for
Mhm.
decades. Is that accurate to the book? It's an example of a thing that you could have be the conflict. Because we really don't need to end with Care Bears. That's not going to help anybody get a
Yeah.
request.
Yeah. Mm. Can we stop with end with a crime this big, you know?
No, 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 you're no. That's way,
Okay.
way, way out of focus, right? We need to focus on
Mhm.
her, right?
Right.
She is the character. Focus on
Okay.
the character, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you need to do that for placeholder to get to the character, like work through some thoughts, then do that. But
Um
you're gonna delete them anyway. So, which
uh
I mean, you've seen me do that enough, right?
to get the justice her sister
Write it,
deserves, she's
write it,
going to
write
have
it,
to take it to the world.
write it, and get there. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll probably
Um
delete it and
okay.
redo whatever thing.
Sister.
But that's also gonna be vague.
Okay.
And the way you said it, it sounded like Care Bears. Do you need food? You look
Probably.
like you're. Yeah, well, go ahead and get some sugar. Well, okay, I know you don't do frozen fruit, so I won't tell you to do that. But
Here, I'll have a Flintstones. It's
you have
sugar,
that's a Flintstone vitamin or a Flintstone gummy thing.
vitamin,
That's one way to get calories.
and sugar.
They don't. Whatever. You know what? You do your thing. I used to eat Flintstones chewables when I was a kid, and I don't remember them being a snack. But whatever. If it
It's
helps,
time. It's time for me to take my vitamins anyway,
are they okay then?
and
That's
I needed sugar, and so they're both in one.
one of the things I recommend as a sidebar thing while you do your sugaring thing is whether you are writing or editing, whatever you're doing in your process, keep eating because writing takes your brain is 3% of your body weight, but 20% of your calorie intake, or your calorie use. You will just stop being able to write if you don't eat something.
Oh, my writing is entirely snack.
Oh yeah, yeah. I do frozen fruit as I've said many times. Um, it is fast because here's the thing: your body digests sugar really fast. Protein slows it down. Fat even more. If you eat like anything with protein, it's going to slow you down. Even
Yeah,
eggs, which I love, but eggs take the least amount of time. A half hour, I think, to digest an egg, but the fruit sugar just hits you fast, and it gives you what you need. It isn't perfect, but it's a lot better than sitting there. Because I have done while we've been doing this. You see this bowl here? This was originally full of blueberries, and it is now empty. I can't show you that because I just all over my desk, but please trust it was full. Um, I buy this stuff purely for writing and editing. And I saw you do this, right? And that was your, I know that sign from people. That's your, why can't I think through this? And the reason is that you don't have sugar. The research suggests for writing, which involves a whole lot of decision making, that you go with a sweet drink, like a lemonade with a lot of sugar in it. I wrote about that. Let me pop the link here for give me a second to find it.
How about that as a state sentence? Emily needs to make the world cooperate in order to bring Culliver to justice before his assassins catch up with her.
Hold on a second.
It stakes.
Its concept is it. We can work with it. Is a good thing. What we would need to do, okay, in the book, where do we first see the assassins? Because I would like to not have. That's why I'm not asking you like you know. I'm asking you because you can find out from the magical knower of the things. Because ideally, the assassins would appear in the first chapter, the first paragraph. Okay. Speaking of the first paragraph, I would suggest ending it at trillionaires and having a new paragraph start with Emily is ripped about that's 4.5 lines in, because agents are reading these on their phones, and that brick of a first paragraph, they'll get lost in it. Ideally, we have the assassins. You can mention them as late as toward the end of the first paragraph as it is now, but you cannot go, oh, hey, assassins. It's bad world building. That makes sense?
Yeah. Our writer has told me that Emily doesn't have the agency enough to make the world cooperate. I'm like, yeah, but doesn't the scope of the crime compel it? I don't know. We're about to find out.
She doesn't need to have the power to. She just needs to want to. She needs to try, right?
Yeah.
Because look, at the beginning of the Hunger Games, Katniss is an archer, right? She has to be willing to do things, right? Emily needs to try, and then what happens is the book, right? And if she has no chance, then her trying will cause something that will get other plot things to happen that I need to know about. Cat, bad idea, bad timing. Also, the world is vague. Cooperate is vague. Justice is vague. But these are all things we can work on now that we have the concept there.
Yeah.
Okay. We cannot get this done tonight. It's just not going to happen. There's too much stuff to do. There's too many suits of. Within the first paragraph, we still have to get the modifications thing. I'd like to know what that is, see if I can make it sexier. And the prototype thing still isn't quite there. And then I think we have duplicate language in the stakes paragraph.
Probably.
I think we have she abandons to safe lab to honor sister, blah, 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 and seek justice. And then we have the ending sentence to bring Tolliver to justice before assassins. And we need to, I don't know that we need a Terra Confederation at all.
No. Cat, we don't eat paper. I mean, obviously we do, but yeah. So the writer keeps telling me that it's a complicated novel, and all novels. Every novel is complicated.
Cat the Bunny is
are the stakes and the main characters, and focus on that.
I would like the writer to understand. I don't care how complex it is. Every book is complex. You remove layers of plot. You don't need to include the entire main plot in the first third.
No.
You need a representative strain of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're hosting a party, okay? You can tell me in 4 foods what your catering concept is, right? You can tell me you have a fruit plate, you have a chip plate, and you have lemonade. I need to know about the hot wings. Okay, I know you have snack food, right? Or you have a chafing dish with some pulled pork and potato salad and chips and buns. I know that's basically barbecue, right?
You're just trying to make me hungry.
Is it working?
Yes. Like that was even hard.
And Morgan, how much stuff is closed in our area right now?
All of it.
Okay.
It's okay. I have some Cheez-Its.
That's good. That will not remotely be pulled forward, but that's good.
Wow.
Oh yeah, those keep on being on sale.
Right? Which is your favorite type of food?
And the bad thing about those cheeses is that it's about 2 ounces of cheeses, so you get like 4 crackers for $8. But they're delicious. Because they have made the box be like this massive thing. And it's
I'm looking.
Wait, 5 ounces for $8. Like,
I can't remember what chip it was that I had that had this certain texture and consistency to it. So this is my second attempt.
Oh, those are Sun Chips.
I know what Sun Chips. I have some of those. I'm looking for a different consistency. Slightly, but not totally different. Very similar. It's a problem.
It can only end in tears. Because all I can be is wrong. Oh yeah, I've seen this. Yeah.
This was not it. It was close, but not it.
Yeah, that's a scam though, honestly. We started making this cheesy thing that was just all air. It's just this massive bag, and it's like 5 ounces of cheesy crackers for like $8, and it's like, no, I want to buy food that is food, not air.
Not quite what I was looking for, but the cheesiness makes up for it.
Yeah. My favorite is the bacon ones, which are just absolute porn for my mouth. Okay, can we get through this in the night? That's a lot to ask. Okay, let's see. Okay, when Emily finds out her sister has killed herself, what does she do? I'm asking the writer through you. You know that, right? I can see you nodding. That's fine. You don't need to, yeah. Keep eating. I honestly keep eating. I don't care because it'll make you a better editor, and that's what I need right now. So, save lab. Justice. Okay. Okay, that now Shima sentence was my attempt to get a steak sentence in there, but we can probably toss that whole sentence, right? Because we need to get the world copyright thing there. Okay, now that's horribly vague. Let's just okay. We need. Can you put an assassin note anywhere in that previous paragraph, because we need to see them earlier. We can't have, this is like that Starship thing. We can't have surprise plot elements at the end. No, we don't need the hide thing. Death is enough stakes. We don't need to hide. There you go. Yep. Okay. Is there a chance we can actually have this done tonight? That'd be interesting. That'd be amazing. Considering that. Anyway, no, don't keep going, but we're gonna change that. You know that, right? It's better than nothing, but it's still. Give me a new paragraph there. Press enter. No. Yeah, right there. There you go. Enter again. There you go. Good job. Thank you. Okay. That's it. Can you make that in a positive, please? Make n a positive. Assassins are. Make that in a positive. Comma. Nope. After there. After. No. Ah! I was like, okay. Yes, right there. Yes. There you go. Yes. Dude, that was honestly like distressing to me. As you know, because when I was in college, the assistant to the executive director wrote a guide to things she was doing, a guide, and it was a 6-page document. And she stuck a sentence in there. This is the sentence to see if anybody but Patrick is reading this. That does not surprise you one bit. Okay, let's see. This is. That's right. The Emily grief sentence there. Did we get an answer on that one yet? Yes. Put it in, and then we'll fix it because you know how it is.
Okay, what are we doing with it?
We need to know how her grief manifests in what she's doing. Okay, because she feels guilty is what we're saying right now, and that like is informing us of something rather than showing us how it manifests in her. You know, does she break beakers? Does she cry in a corner? All these things tell us who she is, which we still don't have in the first sentence of the query. And then what is she doing in her lab? Right? Is she working on a disease? You know, is she mentoring? You know, underprivileged, whatever. Like that's. What are you and why do I care?
Does she abandon friends and lovers in order to seek justice? Do they not understand the lengths she will go? Are they really terrified of Tolliver and not going to help her?
Whatever it is, we need it. I don't want. It would be good if it was organic to the plot, but if it isn't, there's an easy solution to that. We build it in the previous paragraph. We can have it follow organically. Like she can be working on something that we didn't know about, but the fact that she was still in that genetic engineering environment is enough, right? Because she could be volunteering at the lab library, right? But she's still in that environment that we haven't taken her out of it. That's what I mean by. Do you know what I mean by organic to the plot? Okay, good. You're still getting an answer to that question? Okay, let's while we wait for that, let's go to the stars and see if I can fix that language because it's still a little awkward. Let's see here. Right here, there's something. Need to hold on. She. Who's this all? Fine. Still.
I'm adding flavor text. Mwahaha. Wow, that was my lamest mwahaha ever. There we go. Okay.
We can't. No. This is a new. This is really late to introduce this plot element. If you're going to use it, you need to see it earlier.
Yeah.
So I would just.
Oh, I'm going to put it here.
Okay.
Is that a reasonable spot?
Yeah. Put the period in, please. Not a coder right now. You're a writer.
I shake my fist and put Jesus.
Go ahead. I'll imagine a cloud there, but no. Okay.
Is that because I just added an adverb?
No.
It could be.
No, this sentence. Okay, we don't need. We're trying to do too much.
I was on mute.
I didn't notice.
So, things I just learned. Francois, when she blew up the starship, she killed Tolliver and a bunch of the other trillionaires.
What the
right? So the question is,
Oh!
is the evidence about other trillionaires? Or is it to clear her sister's name and prove that her sister did a good thing? I'm very confused now. This maybe should have been mentioned half an hour ago.
An hour at least. Yeah, this. Oh my. That's okay. Now we know that. That's the world building really is important to the. We don't need the other billionaires. No. We don't need them. We don't see them. This is Tolliver and those two girls, right? That's all we focus. There you go. See, get the focus on the characters. This world building is so important to clarity and. We don't need that. We just deleted the allies from the. We focus on the three. We have three characters, right? Three characters. Yeah. We have the sisters and Tolliver. We don't have another named character. And there's a reason for that. You're still on mute, by the way.
If Tolliver is dead after the first third, we have to talk about why she's still in danger.
Okay.
And the reason is his allies.
Okay. Then we need to build them as a problem way earlier, because as it is, we have surprise, which, as you know, is death from rejection. Okay, I think I can do this. All right. Maybe that loses a sense of community and danger. Let's see. You still need this. You still need to know the lab thing for showing the world. Now she must bring. Okay, is she? Let me just do it instead. This is really hard. She must challenge. Piss.
Yes.
Must get justice. Assassins. QC now. No, that wouldn't be it either. Kill her is such a weak ending, but it's functional. This is fine now.
You got a little twisted. We're not getting justice from the trillionaire class. We're getting justice from the system that allowed the deadly trillionaire class to thrive. Putting it in.
That's what she said. Although that does get us a bit away from the presentation of the central conflict. This is 227. That's tolerable. And stuff. Yep. That's the thing that we knew we wouldn't be able to do because I just don't know adult science fiction. Yeah, you want to be specific about that because you can. Once upon a time, you could say may appeal to fans of whatever thing and titles, but you can't do that anymore. Agents want to know exactly what you're talking about. It's irritating, but it allows you to compete better. Because some people don't have time to do the work, or there are books that simply like they don't have comparison.
Yeah, and if you don't know where it fits on the shelf, traditional publishing isn't going to know how to market you. So you need to pick a genre. You know this.
Or
this writer has a genre. Yeah. But a good comp is 3 or fewer years old, is well known, but not a bestseller. And
usually.
Yeah.
It varies by agent, but yeah. The thing
you
about
can usually
publishing,
go out maybe 5 years if you need to.
You can.
But,
the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me remind you. There's exactly one rule about comps, and that rule is do what the agent wants. I have seen ridiculous. I have seen people comp. Okay, the same day, I saw an agent who is incredibly well known say, "Don't do books that became movies," and I saw Coraline comped, and that was what told me what the agent wants. That's the rules, right? It's like
I usually see like Coraline and that sort of, big name stuff work well on Twitter pitches.
Yeah, Twitter pitching is a whole different. I mean, you can comp the Bible and the Book of 3 or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I have done I did one to be funny. I did Waiting for Godot, in which the meetup doesn't happen, and Romeo and Juliet, in which the meeting is the entire point because it was a funny mashup. But it's specific to the agent. It's irritating. And the thing is that these people, these are oligarchs who want lots of sure things because they want to invest their money as safely as they can, which both makes sense and is incredible. Nope. And consideration tosses. Thank you for your time. That's all you need.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I have deleted any consideration from 1,400 queries, at least. We're at
that is the Query Shark's fault. That's her tagline.
You just don't need it. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. At this point, I think we're going to be sending it back to our writer.
Yeah, he did. We need that little bit of world building there. I would like to see a better than sentence than riddled with guilt because that doesn't tell us much.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about the zooming out with the trillionaire class there.
Yeah.
But in terms of where we were, we now know what's happening in this book. Oh, and the modifications too. I still want that because it's a fun. I mean, if you haven't, part of the point of the query, and if you worry about spoilers for this, you want to impress
Yeah.
the agent with how much fun stuff you've thought up, right? My treasure hunt book, the first third of it is not the treasure hunt, obviously, because duh. But like if it were, I'd be going, and there's a pirate thing, and there's a 19th century lesbian thing, and there's a code on a gravestone, and there's a secret book, and there's a deck of, I turn a deck of cards into all this stuff to make them go, I want to see this thing, right? Whereas if I say I have clues that are based on history, that's like, okay,
Yeah.
not a fit for my list at this time.
Yeah.
I wish you luck in your publishing endeavors. Best, whoever. But that query is probably like 10 minutes away, aside from the comps,
Yeah.
which will take you between 5 minutes and never.
Right.
But I would recommend the library. You may have to try a little bit. I went looking for advice on something, and I got someone who didn't care. And he was, I think it was a guy. He said, "Here, try this writer group." And I'm like, literally not the question. I don't want you to refer me to somebody else. I want you to be the person. Pass me
Yeah.
off to somebody who is going to be the chat with me, because I don't want to put on pants,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't want to go ask randos who might have no idea.
Right.
I had an idea for a book. And you remember Nicole in our group? She had the book about the gargoyles. Well,
Yeah.
she thinks that she wrote them wrong and wrote them in middle grade. And there's a difference between middle grade and young adult. Like with middle grade, they're going to be more in control of the adventure, taking you with them, right? Like that
Right.
training montage in Lion King.
Yeah.
In young adult, you'll be more in charge of them, right? I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure this is the Greek mythology thing, right? I wanted to make sure I wasn't ready in middle grade. This guy's like, okay, ask other writers. How do I know they know shit? I don't, because we've seen people like that one guy in that group who wanted in. I'm like, oh, fine. And he has no idea about anything. So, all right. I had lots of stuff I wanted to talk about, and it's now 11:43, and it's I was going to talk about abortion a lot, and we didn't, but that's
Well,
okay.
we have time if you want. That was
Okay.
2 hours on that query,
Yeah,
but
and
I
my
think
brain is completely fried.
did
Um,
we have any others we were gonna look at,
I
or
was going to show synopsis
yeah,
chopping because I'm good at that, but not after that. I can, I mean, I can
yeah,
tell. My best skill as an editor is I can
yeah.
tell when I'm gonna mess up, and I go, nope, no, 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 no,
When
stop,
to
stop.
stop.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna show. This is not a deleted scenes file here.
I just found that he sent me the synopsis like an hour ago. Sorry, my bad.
Whatever. It's, hey, you know what? It could have been worse.
Oh yeah.
Because you were able to ask him questions.
Mhm.
The thing we always need is information because the world building is a problem. I
And
would say 90.
sci-fi isn't your jam, so
No, even if it were, a
Mhm.
thing happens, and other stuff does too, and that's any genre. You can have contemporary that does what happens. They find stuff. What if? Oh, it's just things, whatever. Without that clarity, any genre is still a stick. We were gonna look at. We were gonna compare a first page of Inez, but from 1896 or something to middle-ish page. We can attempt that if you'd like. I'm not sure how good
sure.
it'll. Okay, let's.
You
I
want a
have
link
the
for
link.
it?
I put the link in there. It's right there. Yeah, I
Okay.
highlighted it there for you. And then
Sure.
what we do is take a screenshot of the first page, and then you pick whatever page past the third chapter, and then look at the word use in it to show how your first page is great. That's great, but you need to continue the way that you're doing it. And
Right.
if you're going to change it, that needs to be because something in the book has merited
Yeah.
that.
Did you link
With
it to me?
Yeah, I hold on. Let me give you to you in
Sure.
chat in a second.
Okay.
Twitter or Facebook? Which pick one?
Either
Okay,
or
cool.
in the private chat here,
Let's do it. I have that right there. There you go. You'll have to scroll a bit. When I did it, my mouse wasn't consistent. I'm not sure why. Whatever. If you scroll it is a problem. If you move your mouse and keep going, you should be fine.
Okay.
But like the reasons that you could change voice in a book or change word use, which is essentially the same thing, so say it differently.
Right.
if you're changing point of view,
Mhm.
if something awful has happened, there has to be a reason we're getting to the plot. What you can't have is a thoroughly worked first chapter and a second draft seventh chapter. That's going to get at, a full rejection. Okay. This is in the public domain. We are allowed to be using this. Number one, it's public domain. Number two, this is classifiable as literary criticism, which means that we're commenting on it, which is what we're doing. Okay, I don't know why you went to that view, but you can just scroll through it. It's a book.
That's what your link gave me. Give me a
Hold on.
second.
Okay.
Let me go back to it.
Yeah. Let me take it and see if I need to do something else because you should just scroll.
Let me try that again.
Yep, I'm doing it too just to see. Come on. Is that really going to break? No, it's not loading away. It's 300 pages, so it's going to take a minute. Yeah, I just did. Okay, so if you don't click on anything, you just scroll.
Yeah.
And then you have to move the mouse. Yep, again and again and again. Okay.
Oh, back in the days when chapters needed titles.
My chapter titles are all people's names, which means that I don't know where my sixth chapter is or what it's about. I know it exists, but like it's either Brianna or Sam, or maybe MP. His chapter names are Francis D. Power.
Yeah.
Do you need a screenshot of the first page or not?
What happens if I hit view? Why does that do that?
I don't know. What did you keep clicking on something? Hold on, let me give you the
I hit view all. I want the story to show up without this side bit.
Okay, I'm gonna give you this
top.
See if it works.
Why do I have all this stuff on the top? I don't want to search it. I just want to have it open. I can download the book and then open it.
You want to try that? Go ahead. I don't care. It'll take a minute, but we have a minute.
Does that look like APDYS?
Yeah.
Captcha is so hard. Okay, there we go.
It's hard for you? Whatever.
And there's that. Okay.
Scrolling issue. Yeah.
Chapter 1.
Okay. So we need that, and then that side by side with something else. Ideally, a screenshot of both of that page and then another page, and then put them side by side so we can look at them without scrolling for 8 years.
Okay. Then I will remove this and share that whole window. And are you going to give me something else?
I will. Yeah. Let's pick. Sure. I'm just going to scroll until I find something deep enough in. Okay. Page 91. Okay. I don't know what has happened in this book. I've never read this book. I have no idea about anything. This is not something I picked because I'm fancy. This is something I picked because for my scrolling ended.
Okay.
So I have never seen anything of this. This is a cold read of it. In case anybody thinks I'm trying to, this is not me trying to say use verbs, right, or modifiers or whatever. No. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, now let's get that. Okay. Treasure. Okay. The verbs in the first paragraph of the first page. Okay. Those are ordinary. Is, looked, think, have read, will see, were. Those are pretty bland, honestly.
Well, we're not.
What that gives us, okay, different, treasure, lazy. To me, that whole paragraph is set up to give us treasure and lazy. Now let's look at the first paragraph Other page. Okay.
It's actually page 91.
Yeah.
So
Was annoyed is a little stronger.
I can't highlight. It's an image.
Yeah. I mean, I could give it to you in a
No,
PDF.
that's fine.
Okay.
Has been taught.
Taught is a little stronger, but not that much. And then
Totally.
nasty. Nasty is much stronger than taught. What I'm seeing here is the verbs are subservient. And the modifiers and the nouns were bigger. This is a different. Okay, this is 100 years ago, right? You go ahead and be happy. I'm happy that you're happy. But I see annoyed, which is not a verb there; it's an adjective. Polite, nasty. And even the urgency in that first paragraph from 91, when he saw me do it, saw is pretty bland verb. And then mistake, were, say, was. These are all pretty verbs.
This
Which,
feels like it's aimed at children, like
oh, it is.
maybe teenagers, but
It is. I don't know teenagers, but definitely children. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels maybe about the same age and time period of maybe Girl of the Limberlost.
I don't know that one. What year?
Okay.
So the biographer for E. Nesbit said she basically invented the adventure children's fantasy book. This was written around shortly before turn of the 20th century, 1890s.
Yeah.
So if you think about, well, we've always had these. This is before the World War I was a thing. So if you think about The Hobbit or C.S. Lewis or other things like that, right? The Boxcar Children, certainly. This is way before that stuff.
Yeah. Oop, need to step away for just a minute.
Okay. Have fun. So let's look at the second paragraph now. The verbs again are, tell, have read, know, is, begins, right? Again, pretty bland. Treasure seeking, must, beastly, and then when a story. We're seeing more of this. The verbs are basically scaffolding for the meat, which is the modifiers and the nouns. If you can do that, great, because that's a form of storytelling, right? I prefer other things, but that's me. And then in the 91 second paragraph, we get, yeah, that's the modifier. That whole thing is outside. We're waiting for that, right? We get the outside, which is again a modifier. Princess, a noun. Fancy, modifier. Princess, and then there in italics and with an exclamation point. That is again leading us down a path with pretty bland verbs. And we even have a modifier in when, which I usually don't like because it gets you to read past it. But the point is what's past it, because the point is, not getting outside, but what happens when you are outside. Going back to chapter 1 here, we have the deep sigh. Again, we have a modifier and a noun. Ancestral, and then hourglass. This is all about the modifiers. We have again no, is, has, are, is, think. This is about the situation. And the situation, you get to your mother's dead. Like that's, not died, but is dead. Because that's the reality. And I focus on the process of it, I focus on the fact of it. The first big exception I see to this bland verbs thing on 91, maybe felt, but pretend is a stronger verb than we've been using. I wonder why. Let's see. Oh, it's because what you can't do. That's interesting. So it's sort of taking off of the idea of all these existence verbs to say something to show a limit. And then we chase that for 10. Once we get that strong, what looks to be a strong verb, we then get process language of a meal, honestly. So what I was saying while you were gone is that the whole first page
Yes.
is essentially stasis verbs to
Yeah.
establish facts.
Mhm.
And if you can do it, then that's great.
Mhm.
A lot of people can't. A lot of stories don't lend themselves to it. In most modern literature, I think you don't have people talking to the reader.
Right.
When you do it's younger stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what age range this is. I've seen it, especially in really, really young books, like where it's a reader prompt. The pod training books, I've seen it.
Yeah. I've seen it, but very much in stories that have a framing
Mhm.
around it.
Mhm.
I could almost see like 300 doing something like that. I know it's a comic book, but
I've been seeing
you
it.
know, something where this isn't the truth, but this is how they tell it in the, around the campfire or whatever.
And then on 91, if you look a couple lines from the bottom, several, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pretend. That looked to me initially like a stronger verb, but honestly, it's stasis because it's how she is existing. And as soon as you get what looks like a strong verb, you get the process language of going somewhere and making a meal, right? Which is again more about existence. So this, to me, the verbs are there to sort of to give you places to put more nouns and modifiers.
Yeah.
Which, if you're going on an adventure, honestly, is you're gonna do a lot. I mean, you go to places, and what do you find there? What exists?
Yeah.
And what people.
And this really was the children's writing style for decades and decades.
Yeah.
I look at this and I see a lot of similarities between this of Noel's Princess. When did you say that was published?
This is 1890s. Hold on, let me check.
Yeah.
I have her.
So a girl
1899. Spread Treasure Seekers. Yeah.
Gotcha. A Girl of the Limberlost, which I said it reminded me of, was 1909. And I can see a lot of the verb choice and that sort of thing. And they were stupid little girl would never have been able to pretend as well as that. And so we all went and made tea. Really reminded me a little bit of Mrs. Pigglewiggle, which came out in 1947, 1950. And so they really did keep that style for quite some time. But
I wonder.
there were also a lot less being published.
Yeah. And you didn't have the ecosystem we have now for the stuff. See something real quick, see if I can get this text. I wonder how similar this is to Alice the Looking Glass. Let me see if I can get the PDF for that to you. All I need is the first page of it to see about the nouns and the verbs. That's introduction.
Okay, and that was published in 1871.
Yeah.
So still
this
following
all
on.
Introduction. This is just a waste. I
I
don't care what you Morton person think about this thing. I want the book.
I told you that my space fantasy has about a page of setting prelude for each of. Well, I think the 2-second characters just get a paragraph of it with their introduction, and then I move on to other things.
Okay, let me send you this. You'll have to scroll for half a year if I set it out. Let me just do the screenshot.
That's okay.
So, it does differ some, which is not surprising, but that's it. This is fun, actually.
If anyone in the audience has any questions about Query's synopses or first chapters,
Anything at all.
first pages, let us know, and we'd be happy to answer them as well.
Okay, there's the second page. You'll see quickly it does differ. So the verbs are different, which I mean, it's, it exists. Okay, so was, think is a little stronger.
These are longer paragraphs.
Is there? Yeah, they are.
I feel like this is maybe meant for a year or two older than the other one.
Oh, at least, yeah, at least. To hear, say, shall be. This has a greater sense of urgency to me.
Yes. The first paragraph, I believe, has been created into one sentence, which nowadays is not what would happen.
Yeah, this is, yeah. Thought, occurred, ought. This is much stronger language, and it's the italics more. Started to her feet. This Alice started to her feet. That part under the italics, I cannot imagine that existing in a treasure seeker's line. The verb is way too. It's way too verb driven. Flashed across her mind. No. These are written differently.
Very different styles.
Yeah. Burning with okay, that's yeah.
It has a lot more world building and a lot more description.
Yeah, just the word choice generally is stronger. That I might even say Inez is a little sparse. In that I would expect her to. She uses the same verb 10 times in one page. To get 10 Lewis Carroll verbs of the same kind, you'd have to go a bit.
I mean, if you count forms of to be.
Yeah, that's what Nesby uses. I mean,
yeah. So we have was,
think,
be,
hear, think, occurred, ought. Those are all internal.
Seemed. Ooh, that's a filter word. But since we are comparing her.
Yeah. A lot of more action. And again, this is page 2, so you're still gonna be doing a lot of your world building. But instead of stating factually, like he is presenting things in a way that we learn facts about the world, but he's presenting it through action.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Nesbitt is giving us essentially partly a map, and then just stating this is a thing about this place, which Carroll could have done, but he didn't. And again, this is 28 years earlier with Carroll. I'm trying to think of something we can pull from the 20s. It would be a children's book. To look at the style differences.
Yeah. And I somehow get the feeling that Lewis Carroll was, his publisher believed in italics, while the other publisher did not have access to italics. Because I think that we need to go back to using more commas and more italics and punctuation. I think that the punctuation should be in the tempo and rhythm that the author intended it to be read. And I understand that things should be relatively open to interpretation, but with the italics and Lewis Carroll's, you can see there was nothing so very remarkable in that, nor did Alice think it so very much out of her way.
Yeah.
Like you can see the tempo that Lewis
Yeah.
Carroll wanted it to be read and the emphasis. And I think that modern punctuation and italicization, is that a word?
Yeah.
Sensibilities have gone too far in the other direction, personally.
Page 3 of Alice has a very italicized top of it.
Mhm.
And then through, and then was curtsying. Page 4 has nothing. Page 5 has a wood. So it is being, and then 6 has a that poison wood. He is basically using italics as a form of punctuation.
Yes.
And the way that you do that, the way you do anything like that, if you do it well, right, is you use it a little bit to establish that you're going to do it, and then you save it, because if you can, and then you hit it, and then you hit it, and then you can do it a lot, but the more you do it, the less it works.
Like Pratchett's use of footnotes.
Who?
Terry Pratchett uses.
Oh, I haven't read him. Sorry.
He uses extensive footnotes,
okay.
And the asides are in a very humorous tone about, and usually worlds building sort of things, but it's very much in the. Now, I must tell you that this is the thing in which that kind of.
Let's see if I can get that. All right,
So,
Dr. Doolittle's 1920. Let's see if I can get that one.
Sure.
That isn't working even. That's irritating.
I will have to go at the bottom of the hour, so
Okay.
I've got about 20 minutes before I should really turn in for the night.
Yeah. This is not even working. Let's close these two massive PDFs and see if it helps things along. I just closed Nesbitt and Carol.
Sure.
But that's not working still. Okay, there we go. Come on. Books. There, it did work. Okay, then. Okay. Let's try. I don't want that. All right, let's try that one. All right, and scroll. That's a long 250 pages. Okay, then cool. This thing is so old it has no. There we are. Would you like to guess what I scrolled past?
No, I can't guess, but please tell me. I'm sorry.
Prologue.
Oh.
I'll give you the first page of the actual book.
Sure.
And let's just see. I'm going to give you the prologue too, the first page of it. It's a page and a half prologue.
Sure.
And let's see, because let's see how that differs. Because we know what makes a bad prologue. Is that the things you do in the book are not the things you do, and the things you do in the prologue are not things you do in the first chapter. If they are different, that's a bad thing. If there's no reason for it, and usually you have to build so much world anyway that why would you want to add to that? Was. This is gentler than Nesbitt, but it has the same concept.
Zooming in did not actually make it bigger. Give me a second.
Yep.
Oh, and changing the size isn't going to make it bigger on my screen.
It's a picture. You can right click, open image in new tab. That'll do it.
It is an image opened in a tab?
Open image in new tab.
Okay.
That's control, and then there you go.
And scroll. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually I resize the window and
and that things.
But I'm sharing the screen.
Okay. This is Nesbitt, only softer. Was, ran, which is was, led, which is was. This is all stasis. This is calm.
This
I
is
get
setting the scene before
yeah,
we break it.
I get a sense of calm here, and even where we get the strange songs, we're immediately calmed by learned these songs by heart. The first is we have anchored, which is was basically. Unloading gives us action. Saying, we're getting into more, it's still stasis, honestly. Pulled is still seen. So the first thing we get that isn't a fact about what you're seeing or hearing is to calm you with the strange song thing. And then we get the dangling, which can be a dangerous verb, but we get a sense of adventure that is safer, right? Let's look at the prologue. I am doing this for instructional purposes. I do not actually want to be reading the prologue. I gave you the thing already. It's in
Okay.
chat. Yeah.
Sure.
It should be the most recent picture.
I realized I was going through all the pictures you'd sent me, which maybe I shouldn't do that on screen. Not that there's anything lewd or anything.
No, I would not send you any. No. There you go. Okay. Written, heard, happened. Well, this is different verbs.
Come, give.
It's the same. Okay. The sense of adventure is tamer here, because it's already happened.
Right.
It's basically the origin story of the book.
Ooh, we actually have a useful verb, voyaging.
Yep. Have written, heard, happened, had known, took place. Chronistic sense, I guess. Come to set down, process. They aren't the same verbs, but they are also pre-sedate, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
Gave me, were, voyaging, having, filling, seemed, to get, to sit down and write. Okay. That's a little sense of wonder there. Am, isn't, am, stasis, which is, it's fine. It's a continuation of the concept that ended the previous paragraph.
Now I'm curious when notebook turned it from a hyphenated word into a solo word.
Wait, what word? Nobody?
Notebook.
Oh, notebook. I can find out. Just not this second.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Sits, humming, right. This is different. This is written differently. Like, I think that's pretty clear. The word use is different. The way that the verbs scaffold in the first page versus the prologue are different. The sense of adventure in the first page. We say this.
Sorry, do you want them side by side?
I don't care. I don't need to do. In the prologue, the adventure's already happened. Whereas in the first chapter, it's starting, and we don't get a chance to be frightened because we are shown that everything's fine. Why? A safe adventure? That's
because it was aimed at children, and that's what they did then. This is when Grimm was. This is when Grimm was watered down.
It wasn't okay. Well, we start with the kid's name and then the father's occupation, so that we already know this is going to be someone who's responsible. Okay. the town is small. In a small town, there's only so much you can do, right? And then we have a marketplace which has some adventure. A churchyard is not. So if I'm a kid and I'm stealing from the marketplace, I'm going to a church. That's not really working out that well. So the sense I get from this is the verbs are safe, and the action that what you can do in this town is safe. Everything here is very safe. And I wonder. I don't know that I don't have the background to say this. I wonder if they're appealing to the parents and saying, this book is safe for your kid. Look, here's a churchyard. Here's this person, and his father has a job. Because if you look at, I know what we should do. Let's end with the first page of Tom Sawyer.
Okay.
And see how that, because that is the opposite of this person. The concept of Tom Sawyer is the opposite of that. You can't get much farther away. I know how Huck Finn begins, but I don't know Tom Sawyer. And that is going to be interesting. This is Tom Sawyer's written. Okay, this book that I have that I find here, the copy of this is written is published in 1881. While I am looking, can you find out if this was actually when it was printed? When it was first copyright's 1875. Can you find out if it was written before that? There's a preface. Most of this, it's based on true stories and such, which I think in Huck Finn, he begins by saying he had researched this meticulously, blah, 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 the accents are all correct, all that stuff. I'm seeing 1870. Oh, wow. Yeah. This is, holy crap. Yeah. This is just a world apart. Yeah. I'm going to give you the first page, and then I'm going to give you the second page.
Sure.
Because you're going to see why. So let me scroll a bit. Okay. This is just such. Just let them see the difference between the first pages. That alone. What's up?
When you hear about fairy tales, you hear a lot about the Disneyfication of them.
About the what?
The Disneyfication of fairy tales, right?
Oh, Disneyfication, yeah.
Where Grimm, tamed it down a little, but not a lot, and then Disney went all out. Yeah. But what a lot of people skip over are the Lang's fairy books from 1889 to 1913, and they were tamed and softened for children, and there's I think 25 of them with all the different colors and a few more besides.
Well, in the original Cinderella, you know how they get their feet to fit in the shoe, right?
Yeah, they cut off the toe and
they chop until they get small enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
that's the first page of
the blue fairy book, the red fairy book, etc., etc. If you look at the Wikipedia, it even calls them out as, can I say this word? Bowderized.
Yeah. Boulderized.
But it's got extra letters in it. Boulderized. But anyway, it's a form of censorship that involves purging anything deemed noxious or offensive.
Yeah. There's the first page of Tom Sawyer for you. Here's the second page. Because the first page doesn't have a whole lot of text on it. And while I think the presentation is interesting, we need verbs and nouns and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the writing style it's unrelated, which makes sense.
Oh my.
Yeah. See? That, I mean, can you make that clearer so we can?
No. Even small, it's barely clear.
Okay. Let me give you the link and see if you can get it to be there.
I think I can get it better. It's just I'm gonna have to do other things.
All right.
So. Okay. So, and then there we go.
Okay, that's yeah. This is just totally. We are learning things by having things happen.
Yes.
Okay. We don't get a verb until gone. It is gone.
Yeah.
In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. Wonder, pulled, looked over them, put them, looked. We get world building there, some stasis, but still largely through action. And it just if you gave this first page and the Doolittle first page to somebody and said, "Are these the same person?" Not even close. No, nowhere near. We have no sense here of safety. We don't. We have an old lady, right? Do we think that she's safe? We don't know.
I mean, she's yelling.
Yeah,
but maybe
she is.
she's scared. Maybe she's lost.
She's not. She wonders. She's not scared. She's curious, maybe confused, maybe. That's not
and
fear.
She has pride.
She doesn't care enough to use her glasses to see him. She's not scared. She's sort of bemused.
So we go on.
They don't
the
work.
Next page.
Yeah. Let's okay. See, this is more.
Oh, this is page 18. Sorry.
Is it 18? Let me hold on. Let's see a second. That's because it's of all the markup leading up to it, all the illustrations.
Oh,
and such.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, the first page is, I guess, it's on March 17. But that's page 2 basically. Let me get back to you. Okay.
And you can see that there is a lot of stylized or slang. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. Give me an example word.
I lay if I get a hold of you.
Yeah, it is dialect. Yeah.
Yeah, dialect. Thank you.
Dialect.
That's the word I was looking for.
See the beat of, well, I don't know what that means. Finish, bending, punching. This is again building the world by having people do stuff, which is a deeply common recommendation to writers. Punctuate the punches with, resurrected nothing but the cat. The beat of that, but I don't know what that means. But that's see. We know there's an open door.
I would think that the beat of the boy would be his backside, the part that you beat when you spank him.
Let's see, hold on.
In that era?
I'm looking to try to find it. Let's just copy the book. Oh, okay. I think this is. Hold on, let me load this thing. Okay, she's never seen anybody beat him at being bad, I think is what she's saying.
I never did see the beat of that boy.
I think that's this person on the internet.
No. Anything better than that?
Worse.
Yeah.
Where Doolittle would have had, there was an open door that led to whatever, she went to the open door and stood in it, right? We're seeing it by movement, which is much less safe.
I mean, she had the door open. Why is the door sitting open anyway?
We don't know. Doolittle would have told us. Lifted her voice at angle, calculated distance, and
Tom.
It was a slow noise. Okay, that's our first out and out stasis, and the reason you do that is to introduce the unknown,
which in this part is the introduction of Tom.
Yep. By the Slacker's roundabout, you know what that means, I bet. And arrest his flight. That is way stronger than Doolittle. That is waste arrest you would not see in Nesbit, what we saw. You would see it in Carol, absolutely.
In Nesbit, you might get stop or halt, but not arrest.
Yeah, or even a stasis that was, and there he was stopped or something.
Yeah.
Although we didn't see passive there, did we? I don't think.
Mm.
What you've been doing, we wouldn't have seen any of them. There was no indication.
So
what is
one
that?
of the
Mhm.
things you want to do when writing dialect is to pick, and in this obviously using words that are obvious by the context or at least guessable. But you'll see that he really only abbreviates the occasional word, not every word, even though if it's, Southern, the D's are going to be, or the T's are going to be D's, and the but end of the words are going to be dropped and whatever. But you see, I might thought of that closet is probably might have, but
Yeah,
that's the only instance of a word being that abbreviated on that whole page. You just need one or two words that you consistently do that with to get the feel of a dialect. You don't need to have the apostrophe connect the
apostrophes.
G
Yeah.
at the end of all
We
the
have
words.
idioms, but no apostrophes.
Yeah.
I would bet that. Okay, so we have the word removed here. What you've been doing. So what have you been doing? We have doing there, right?
Yeah.
We have you instead of skin you, right? I would, because we have it. And then the next thing she says is, "Hang the boy, can't I ever learn anything? Ain't he played me tricks enough?" Right? These are continued. It's dialect, but it's not, 83 apostrophes.
Right.
And again, the verbs are clear. I mean, this is almost every word here is punching in a certain way, where Nesbit, the verbs are just not. I mean, that's the style. But to me, this is entertaining in a way that Nesbit isn't. But if you're looking for something that is more sedate and is more sort of stasis, Nesbit is doing it. And Sawyer would be moving too hard for you, maybe.
Nesbit definitely leans into set the scene, make sure to establish the routine, and then break it. Whereas Tom Sawyer definitely leans into the start in media res that is super popular these days.
Yeah.
And even though his escape right now is just establishing him as a troublemaker, it's not necessarily starting the, it's not really an inciting incident. It's more of a continuation of his,
it's already
going personality.
With Sawyer, the incident has already happened. Whereas with Nesbit, she would establish the character and show them, existing in a place, and then have a thing happen with relatively mild verbs. Doolittle, I've honestly forgotten. It's 12:30. You have to go.
Yeah, but we can finish up.
Okay, I'm my brain is done.
Whatever that looks like. Yeah.
That was I can't. This is not working. This was fun though. This was comparing pages is a lot. I mean, I didn't intend to do this at all, but it's looking at people doing things differently, and they're not wrong. They're different approaches. You can do them well, you can do them poorly. But this is something, when you are looking to write in a genre and age range, you should be shotgunning first pages and middle pages. To look at, am I writing this too young? Am I introducing this the wrong way? How do I make my style fit?
And Tom Sawyer was written in 1876. So the earlier edge of the time frame of the other pages we've been looking at, it's not like it was written in a different era or anything like that.
5 years after Carol, right?
I think so.
and Carol was doing the same thing with the heightened. He is up there in terms of the intensity of the word choice. Although I would say he's writing more tame, and he's writing more sort of, isn't this a marvelous thing? Whereas Sawyer is just flying off the page everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my back.
So he drafted the outline in 62-ish.
Carol or Twain?
Carol.
Carol, okay.
But it came out Through the Looking Glass came out in 71, and what Alice found there was.
And then that was the one that was big because the first one, for what I heard, the first book was not big. The second one was what made him. I don't know what is for Twain though. We should do this again. This was fun. This is not queries.
No. We know about more than just queries.
We hadn't seen this before, and this was. You know, it was nice to not have to do the verbs for everything. It was nice to have stasis and for that to be fine and show people you don't have to do it like I do.
We could add more adverbs. That's how to get out of stasis, right? More adverbs.
Eventually, things stop existing as the only thing they do.
So anyway, I see we still have a couple people who hung on. Hello, and thank you for hanging out with us. Let us know if you want to see more of something else. If you want to send in your own query or pages, we're always open to that, even when we're not doing it for charity. And go out and support reproductive rights because we need them.
Abortions
are women's rights. Healthcare.
People.
So
you have to go. 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, I gotta go. Thank y'all so much. I know many of us also have work in the morning.
Yeah,
so,
7.5 hours.
Yeah. Have a good week, and I hope
better week than last week was.
Right. Make sure that you self-care and reach out to your support network if you need to, and know that you are not alone.
Most people support abortion. Most people support robust abortion rights. The people who don't mostly aren't on Twitter, which is good.
And he has said that he's coming for birth control and same-sex marriage next.
Oh yeah, but not interracial marriage because that would be his.
Right.
He's coming for the things he doesn't need.
Yeah.
Who is surprised? He is Clarence Thomas, by the way. In case anyone hadn't read his concurrent.
We're not extrapolating. It is
he factually said.
Yeah.
We should revisit marriage and sex. And then Cornyn was all like, "Yeah, why don't you do education too? Why should we have black people in schools?" Literally, he said Brown versus Board, which is black people in schools. This is not something we're making up.
No.
This is John Cornyn, a member of the Senate, would like the Supreme Court to segregate schools. This is
ridiculous and setting us back 50, 70 years.
And it took long enough after the decision was released for that to even and you know what our state did? Among the things Virginia did after the Brown versus Board came out, we closed public schools rather than allow black people to be in them. That money was taken and it was used on private schools. And then I forget if it was charter or what. But my grandparents ran a private school, and I think when it started, it was the first integrated school in the state. I'm not proud of that. That's shitty. All right, we should go before it becomes 1 a.m. Because last time you had to go, it was half an hour later, and you're like, okay, no, this really is goodbye this time. Right.
Oh, I see a new draft from our querier, and I think
we can handle it another time.
Oh, that's synopsis.
Oh,
It
we can
has
have
to
that
be
another time.
synopsis.
We
Okay.
you need to go to
Yes.
sleep. Yes.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Good
See
luck
you
with
next
your
time.
queries. Peace out, yo.
Have fun.
Bye.